Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode we're going to be checking out a piece by the AI Generative artist known as Maisen Hill. This episode we're going to be talking about the kind of confrontational portraiture. We're going to talk about the context of symbols lost to time, and we're also going to talk about the immense influence and importance of the Egyptian world. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, you're met with a scene, kind of met face to face with this lone subject here. It is a very intimate first introduction that's sure to leave a lasting impression. And so we see a subject set in center here, very iconic. Whenever you put an element straight in the center of a canvas, it's always going to catch the eye. It feels like everything revolves around it, and it also gives a sense of kind of harmony as well. And so it is accented, so we see form accented through this dark on light contrast. So not only is it kind of elevated through contrast, but it's also elevated through the placement that we talked about in the center. So all very important. And we see the format of a portraiture here, or a portrait. In a portrait format, of course, very classic. You have a bust from about the shoulders or the neck up, so we certainly see that for sure. And this is very important. It also feels kind of confrontational. We talked about that intimate element that's always important with the portrait, but here, it feels very dark and those eyes just stare right at you. So not only is it intimate, but it feels kind of confrontational in a way as well. We talked a little bit about that here in a second. So in the realm of color, there's really this main base, right? You have the black and the gold. And there is some deviance from this, say, in the background, but it is really kind of that gold set and that black set main. So those two foundations are very important. The black and the gold are always going to catch our eye. And so with this in mind, it is kind of a divine darkness type of piece, or the darkly divine. So we see divinity is not just light, it is the darkness as well. And we are looking at, say, Anubis, which is a symbol of death as well as the after. Talk about that more here in a second. And so gold is a very important, of course, it's incredibly radiant. It is the symbol of the sun, and perhaps Anubis is wearing this in a way to kind of connect those two realms. Of course, Anubis is the realm of the underworld, very important. We'll talk about that here in a second. This is an Egyptian work, so Egypt, incredibly important. So many different things we can trace back. In many ways, Egypt is the root to kind of Greek and Romans as well, in some ways more than others, of course, and just the immense influence is just vast. We have, pillars, hypostyle halls, you have hierarchical order, so many different things that the Egyptians really kind of popularized on a grand scale. And so we are looking at one of those deities, which is Anubis from the Egyptian world, also known as Inpu, It's kind of strange because Anubis is what we widely recognize in the kind of English world, but the original name is Inpu. So remember that whenever you're kind of thinking about that. And Anubis is one of the most popular symbols of the Egyptian world, certainly across the entire world. Also next to that was probably kind of the Eye of Horus. Probably Horus and Anubis are probably some of the most widely recognized, as well as like Osiris as well. All very important. And so very, very popular symbol. And Anubis, there's four main things you can look at Anubis. So in general, Anubis is really dealing with the world of death in the afterlife. So there's really four main different aspects to that. The first is going to be an embalmer. The second is going to be the judge. The third is going to be the guard, and the fourth is going to be the guide. So I have some pictures that we're going to reference here real quick. And so the first one is going to be the embalmer. So you can see the black jackal, very iconic here. And you see, as an embalmer, you prepare the body for the funerary procedure or the afterlife. So we see kind of the act of mummification here, certainly the iconic black jackal there. And the first one is going to be the embalmer role. And so the second one is going to be the judge. And so the judge essentially acts or judges whether you're going to enter the afterlife or the underworld as well. So we certainly see that the weigher of hearts here. We see the heart weighed on the left against the feather. So really ancient symbolism as well. Of course, the black jackal, quite recognizable. And so the second one we're talking about is the judge to enter the realm of the underworld or the afterlife. So the third one we're going to talk about is the guard or the guide, the third and the fourth there. So the guard, think of that as really guarding the burial site or guarding the tomb itself. And so the fourth we're going to think about is the guide into the afterworld or the underworld. So I have a picture here as well, kind of symbolic of that kind of guard aesthetic as well. So we certainly see that. So those are really the four main things you want to talk about: the embalmer, the judge, the guard, and the guide. So those are four main elements of Anubis. And it's kind of strange because Anubis is normally recognized as kind of the god of death and all this darkness and stuff. And that's not really accurate. So we see kind of the context of the symbol has been lost to the passage of time. So the original one were those four main elements that we looked at here. So with this in mind, kind of have a reclamation of that symbol, right? We don't want to keep teaching that, Anubis is just some horrible god raining death on everyone. That's not very accurate. It is an embalmer. It is a judge. It is the guarder of the tomb, as well as the guide into the afterlife as well. All very important. And I really wanted to kind of change that context of those symbols into what it truly is, which is really those four main aspects. And kind of the biggest one is probably going to be the judge as well as the guide. And so this is an AI generative art piece, and it was actually made in Midjourney. So you can see just how incredible that is, right? You take such an ancient symbol such as Anubis, and you put it into, say, a modern AI generative art program, and it creates a scene which stands before us here. It is just absolutely divine. It is a work of absolute science fiction that we have these incredibly powerful programs at our fingertips now. So you can go into there, look at ancient symbols of the world, and create them in such an immersive and such a novel visual experience. So hope you guys enjoyed today. There's a lot I wanted to talk about. Sorry if it was a little awkward today. Anubis, very ancient symbol. I had a lot of slides I wanted to include as well. So if the editing was a little choppy, or if I was a little kind of back and forth on my words, I apologize on that. But I hope you guys enjoyed today. Go check out the original artist, Maisen Hill, always doing some really good stuff in the AI generative realm. So I hope y'all enjoyed. Hope y'all learned something. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.